unfortunately, children's libraries are also being infected by the same critical race theory, queer theory, indoctrination, and brainwashing. Okay, so the Library Association, the American Library Association, recently elected their next president. She's going to take office next July. Her name is Emily Drabinski, and she is, believe it or not, a self-avowed Marxist lesbian. This is what she tweeted after her election. She goes, "I just cannot believe that a Marxist lesbian who believes that collective power is possible to build and can be wielded for a better world is the president-elect of the American Library Association. I'm so excited for what we will do together. Solidarity," she says. And my mom is so proud. I love you, Mom. So a self-avowed Marxist lesbian is now in charge of the American Library Association. So what kind of power does the American Library Association wield? They are in charge of the training for librarians across the country. They are very influential in the type of books that are stocked in the library. This makes me very sad because my childhood was spent, going to the community pool and going to the library, which is just next door. And I feel like I won't be able to do that in the same way with Lady Baby as she grows up because it's compromised. The way the public school system is. Libraries are also compromised. Children's books are being compromised. They're being infected with this radical leftist agenda. Like what? Well, let's look at the retweets of Emily Drabinski, this new president of the American Library Association. She has retweeted her support of Drag Queen Story Hour for little children at public libraries. She has retweeted support for LGBTQ books for small children in the public library system. And she has retweeted the Democratic Socialists of America, a kind of poisonous ideology that I would never, ever, ever let Lady Baby come anywhere near. She was also, and this is, enough reason to oppose Emily Drabinski, but she was endorsed by Randy Weingarten, teachers union boss Randy Weingarten. Ew, no thank you. Anybody who is endorsed by Randy Weingarten is an automatic no from me, as if there aren't any other reasons. There are, however. Drabinski on her YouTube channel teaches librarians how to get around or subvert even standards in order to actually insert radical leftist ideology, including sexuality agendas, into, their work at the public library. This is taxpayer-funded library systems. You are paying for this. And Drabinski has actually taught other librarians how to work around the fact that it's publicly funded and instead insert radical theories, including, by the way, queer theory. Yes, Emily Drabinski, this is what she says about queer theory. Quote, "Queer theory provides a useful theoretical frame for rethinking the stable, fixed categories and systems of naming that characterize library organization schemes and strategies for helping users navigate them." What is queer theory? Remember the episode on queer theory. The queer theory, the woman who wrote the founding thesis of queer theory, her name is Gail Rubin. She also was a lesbian, although she was into, bondage and leather. Gail Rubin, the founder, who wrote the founding document of queer theory, defended pedophilia. She defended child pornography. She defended the sexualization of children. She advocated for the destruction of objective truth. She advocated for all the things that are being taught to children under the heading of the transgender ideology in public schools. That gender is not a binary, it's a spectrum, sex has nothing to do with gender, that nothing sexual is immoral as long as it's consensual, including pedophilia. That is queer theory. And the woman who is now in charge of the American Library Association, who trains librarians how to subvert their taxpayer-funded status to insert this radical sex theory into their libraries, their individual libraries, and their book selections. This is why the left is terrified of free speech on Twitter. This is why they don't want us to be able to talk about the transgender ideology. They don't want us to be able to say whether men can be women and women can be men. They don't want us to be able to say things that are objectively true. They want censorship. They need censorship. Because when it is a court of public opinion, when it is a digital town square, the radical left, their actions, their motivations, and their agenda are exposed. We expose them, we discuss them, and parents across the political spectrum, they can be Democrat, they can be leftist, they do not want their children indoctrinated with queer theory and the transgender ideology. And they do not want individuals like Emily Drabinski in charge of the books that their children are checking out at the public library.